Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I am Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer. Today we are talking about aviation, and I have the honor of having with me by phone Major General John Barry. He is a retired Major General of the Air Force for over 30 years as a combat veteran fighter. He was the Top Gun graduate and military assistant to the Secretary of Defense. He retired in 2004, having served his last tour on active duty as a board member and executive director for the Space Shuttle Columbia Accident Investigation. From 2006 to 2013, Barry served as superintendent of Aurora Public Schools, the sixth largest district in Colorado. In 2014, he was then named Chief Executive Officer for Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Denver. And as of right now, Barry holds the position as President and CEO of Wings Over the Rockies. So I am excited to have you with me, Mr. John Barry. How are you?
Fine. Thank you very much for having me on.
Absolutely. And so, John, you have an extensive background there.
Well, I've been very fortunate over my time to be able to have some unique experiences and have some amazing opportunities to give back. So, Alex, I'm very lucky in that regard.
Absolutely. Well, and this is exciting, right? We are talking about Wings Over the Rockies. Do you want to give us a little bit of background information about that about the museum?
Yeah, excellent. Well, Lowry Air Force Base was established in 1937. And it stayed open until 1994. That's when the persons who were in charge at that time in the Air Force made a decision to hand over the two large hangars that we had at Lowry to the museum. So we established the Wings Over the Rockies Air and Space Museum in 1994. So we've been in existence, for quite a while now, and we're proud of what we have insofar as celebrating the heritage of the Air Force. Certainly from the standpoint of Lowry, but also from the standpoint of the different aircraft and the exhibits and the wonderful historic reflections and the stories we have to share with the public here at Lowry Air Force Base and Wings Over the Rockies Air and Space Museum.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit. So there's, I have information here. It says one organization, two locations. So you want to tell me a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, that's something that we're very excited about right now. We will be one of only probably two or three air and space museums in the country that has one organization in two locations. We will always keep the museum here at Lowry as a celebration of the heritage, of the past, of the amazing legacy that we have for aviation. And it'll always stand here as a testament to that. But we have a second facility we're building out at Centennial Airport. And this 15 acres is right on the airfield. For those of you who are familiar with the airfield, there's two north-south runways, and there's an east-west runway in the middle of the north-south runways, kind of going east. And we're just south of that on the airfield with 15 acres. And on that facility, we are going to build what we call exploration of flight. It's not a museum because we're focusing on the present and the future of aviation and space, but it is going to be an amazing campus, and I could describe that in great detail as we move forward.
Absolutely. That is fantastic. This is something that's very exciting for me. I actually have a background in aviation as well. I'm a part-time flight attendant here in Denver, and so aviation has always been in my blood. I have a huge passion for it. If I had enough money, I would go back and get my pilot's license for sure. Absolutely.
Well, it's never too late, Alex. It's never too late.
You are right about that. That is very true. I actually wanted to join the Air Force when I was younger. My mom threw a bit of a fit about that, but she no longer has control over life decisions, so I might join anyway.
Well, we can talk more about that offline, but anybody who is listening to this, that is the message that I like to be able to. It is never too late. Some people have this thing that they always want to be a pilot, and believe me, right now there is an incredible need, as I'll describe here in just a minute when we go into the details of Lowry, and then moving to exploration of flight.
Fantastic. Well, if you would like to go ahead and give those details on Lowry, I think we're ready for that.
Well, great. Well, first of all, as I mentioned, Lowry's been in existence since 1994 as a museum. We used to have two hangars. Some people who are familiar with the area here in the Lowry area there's restaurants now on what we call Hangar 2, but now it's a storage facility with a bunch of restaurants around it. And the audience may not be aware that the military in the United States has closed a lot of military bases since the end of the Cold War. One was Lowry Air Force Base. And I will say that we can be very proud of the fact that when that was closed down, when the entire Lowry Air Force Base was closed down in 1994, and it was handed over to the redevelopment effort here, they did an incredible job. I must say that in other parts of the country where there are different cities where some of the bases were closed, whether it be the Army, Navy, Air Force, or even Marine Corps, it's not always the same good story. This is an excellent example of how the community got together and did an outstanding job on building up this wonderful community we have around the museum, but we're proud to be part of that. So the museum itself is tasked to follow a mission, and the mission is to educate and inspire people of all ages on air and space for the present, the past, the present, and the future. Now, we've been doing a really good job, I think, over these many years with many of my predecessors and people who have worked in the museum and have taken great pride in it, in celebrating the past. And we have a little bit of the future here in the Lowry Museum. But one of the things that we always want to be able to celebrate is that legacy. So here in the museum, we have an incredible assortment of aircraft, mostly military, but also civilian, with some incredible stories that go to describe what it was like during the World War II, to the Korean War, to Vietnam, and also we reflect a little bit on this place in regards to the war against terrorism. So we are unique in a couple of ways. One is we have all of the Century Series fighters. What I mean by that is the F-100, the F-101, the F-102, the F-105, and the F-4 is kind of counted in that tabulation too. So we call it Century Series because it's 100, 101, 102, so forth and so on. That is unique, and we have open cockpit days once a month here. We celebrate the opportunity for the citizenry here in Colorado, and of course we get a lot of people from out of state and also internationally who come here to be able to get close to the airplanes, hear the stories, get in the cockpits, and experience what it was like to be in that. We have gliders, we have civilian aircraft, and we have bomber B-1, a large aircraft that we have. We celebrate a lot of the legacy. We are restoring aircraft here. We're in the process of restoring a B-18 bomber that was used for training here at Lowry to prepare bombardiers, navigators, folks that would be part and parcel of the gunnery elements that were part of the B-17, the B-24, B-25, B-29 in World War II. All of that training was done here at Lowry. The other things we do, we're rebuilding a O-2, which was a forward air control aircraft that was used during Vietnam to position and give direction to fighter aircraft to hit targets for the enemy. We have a brand new addition, a UH-1 helicopter that was flown in Vietnam. But we have a very generous donor that was able to provide us that, and they could bring back a lot of memories for those who lived during that era. We also have an Alouette helicopter that is just being retrofitted now, but it is celebrating the Flight for Life organization. Now, many of our people who are listening to this will probably recognize that group. They are the helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft where they are ambulatory rescue, and some of the people probably in the audience were part and parcel of the rescue, maybe even been rescued by Flight for Life. We celebrated them and honored them as our gala honoree during the last gala in November. And we're very proud of having the Alouette, which was the first helicopter that Flight for Life used for rescue elements for civilian rescue. Interestingly, they used the model from MASH, and almost everybody can recognize that from the TV. They were military ambulatory rescue, but they also have now civilian rescue, and they were started in 1972, and now there are ambulatory rescue organizations spread out all over the country and the world now. So almost every hospital has some connections with different groups. Not always Flight for Life, but they were the first in 1972. Now, I'll also just bring up the point that you might get a kick out of this, but we are building an airplane to fly that is being built by students. And it's called an RV-12. It's a single-engine, low-wing tail dragger. People are familiar with that, for the wheel in the back of the airplane as opposed to like a tricycle gear. And when that gets finished being built, we will claim that more than 50% is what we're shooting for, will be built by students. We're going to fly the airplane. We will then sell it, and we'll buy another kit and start all over again. So those who are participating with us as part of our Wings Aerospace Academy, which I'll just describe here in a minute, are going to have this unique opportunity of actually building an airplane. So let me stop there for just a minute, and I can go into the education side, which we're also very proud of. Any further comments on that, Alex?
That is just impressive. I do get a kick out of the fact that you are supporting an airplane built by students. Over 50% is your goal there. That's amazing. How far along are you on it already?
Well, they finished the tail section. We're building the wings right now. So the next is the cockpit and, of course, the engine. So probably within the next, hopefully, 10 to 12 months, we will have completed the entire aircraft. And obviously, we'll advertise that rather aggressively to let people know about that. But it's also an aspect that I'd like to celebrate with folks on the education side. Yes, you can come to the museum and you can see all our exhibits. You can, participate in our simulators. We'll turn you upside down and roll you like an airplane can. It's an amazing max flight simulator. We also have some static simulators where, you got screens, big, large screens where you can fly fighters or World War II airplanes or cargo airplanes. You can choose a lot of that. We actually have a nice simulator called the Doran for young children. Anybody can ride into it. I've ridden into it a couple of times now and had a good time, where it's just kind of like being on a roller coaster. And so we have those simulators, and you can fly the Wright simulator, the Wright Flyer, which is pretty impressive. We were just given a new prop. I shouldn't say new prop. It's an old prop, new for us. But it was made in the Wright factory in 1924. It was given to an individual who kept it in his personal possession for a number of years and gave it to the National Aviation Hall of Fame based in Dayton. But why I'm bringing this up is they have now given that to us on loan, and that prop was made by the Wright factory, but what's even more unique is it was signed by Orville Wright. Now, it is our understanding, and we haven't had anybody who's conflicted or challenged us on this fact, but I am told that it is the only artifact that has been signed by one of the Wright brothers. Yes, they've signed a lot of paper and people have their signatures and documents, but there's not, to my knowledge, at least we're being told, that this is the only artifact that was actually signed by one of the Wright brothers. So we're very proud of that. And that'll be on display here in the next couple of weeks. So, but I do want to spend some time on the education elements to inspire and educate, as I mentioned in our mission. We have our Wings Aerospace Academy. Now, it is not a school. It is an enrichment program that we partner with on an online school. Now, our online school is where the students, of course, do their work on the computer at home, talking to teachers on the phone or on webinar and telecons, and be able to go through their normal coursework. But those who have signed up for Wings Aerospace Academy come to us 1 day a week. And we have 6 through 10 right now, and we'll eventually have 6 through 12. but 6th, 7th, 8th graders, 9th and 10th graders come to us. So the 6th, 7th graders come to us on Tuesday, the 8th graders come to us on Wednesday, the 9th and 10th graders come to us on Thursday. A lot of them are participating in the aircraft build. We also have them building drones. They build them, fly them, and then keep them. They meet astronauts and pilots. They get to fly in fixed-wing aircraft and gliders and in helicopters. They have an opportunity to visit amazing places like our Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, the Challenger Center. We have them participate in different activities that are on airfields. So a lot of our young people have never talked to a pilot, touched an airplane, or been on an airfield short of an airline. That all is done at Wings Aerospace Academy. So we're opening again for next year. So any families that are interested in doing an online school, but when partnering with a company called Elevate, that allows them to come here 1 day a week to participate in these amazing activities. All that's going on in Lowry.
When can they enroll?
Well, we're enrolling right now for next semester. Right in August is when we start, just like any school. So if anybody's interested in that, they certainly can go online for wingsmuseum.org and be able to just, put in the info there, Wings Aerospace Academy, and it'll come up and they'll have the information that they need to be able to sign up if anybody's interested.
That is fascinating. I love that. I like that you're getting kids as young as 6th grade to 10th grade excited about aviation. And aviation, I feel like, is one of those one of those subjects, right, that a lot of kids may really want to pursue, but they feel like it's really out of their reach, right? They think they can only be in the Air Force. They think they can only be an astronaut, and there's tons of other things they can do. So I love the fact that you guys are getting involved with getting kids excited about that again.
Yeah, one of the things that I'll just share, when I was superintendent of schools in Aurora for 7 years, I often talk to young people, and we taught ground school, and we tried to introduce them to Wings over the Rockies when I was superintendent. It often was thought of as an elitist group, that I could never do that. It's something that only well-to-do people get to do, and that is absolutely untrue. We have amazing programs here in the museum that allow students to take ground school, anybody, not just our Wings Aerospace Academy. We do it every semester for 5 weekends, and then they get to fly in an airplane. We have 2 programs that the audience may be aware of and maybe not. One is called Young Eagles, and Young Eagles is where we are trying to fly 30 to 50 students every single month on the 3rd Saturday, and all you have to do is sign up. It's all free. Pilots donate their own time, their own aircraft, their own fuel, as I do with mine, and then we fly students, and they get to know about the controls, they learn about the aerodynamics, they learn about the avionics. Certainly for our students in Wings Aerospace Academy, they get a lot more, but for the average person, they can get a flight. So it's open to anybody. All you have to, again, is go to wingsmuseum.org and sign up for Young Eagles. It was originally designed in 1993 to fly 1 million kids by 2003. And why 2003? That's when the 100th anniversary of the Wright brothers. Well, guess what? All the airfields around the country that are doing this, we've now flown 2.2 million students. It's absolutely an amazing program, and I encourage anybody. Grades, the ages are 7 to 18, and they can sign up. The other program we have is our teacher flight program, where we're trying to fly 1 teacher from every school up and down the Front Range. At 1,600 schools, we've now flown over 540 teachers. So we're well on the way to make our goal. But again, any teacher can sign up on our website and get a free flight in a Stearman, an open cockpit, an old World War II aircraft, or in a Cessna 172, brand new, that we have on lease to Textron, who has been an amazing partner. I can't talk enough about that company. The old Cessna company was bought by Textron. They've been an amazing. So the Young Eagles and the teacher flight program are very unique and something that we also provide to the population that anybody can participate in.
That is absolutely fascinating. Now, I know that you've got the one for the kids and the one for the teachers. Is there something that I can invest in? I myself to be able to do one of these programs? I'm well over the age of. Oh, I'm sorry.
Makes sense. Yes, absolutely. We have, just as an example, we have a drone build program for adults. Again, you can go online. It's not cheap, but it gives you the ability to build your own drone. Then you get to learn how to fly it, because we teach you how to do that, and then you get to keep it and take it home. So again, if anybody's interested in the drone aspect of, we have world champions, father and son, U.S. and world champions for drones that are our instructors. So you're getting the best of the best to be able to do that. So again, if you go to the website, put on drones, you'll see the classes that are offered, and people can sign up and participate.
I love that. I might have to do that. I definitely don't know much about drones, but they are getting a lot of press these days, and so that seems like something that might be right up my alley. I appreciate that, John. We've got about
absolutely
2.5 minutes here. Would you like to give us a little bit of a wrap-up on everything that you've got going on right now, and in the next segment we'll get into a few more things about aerospace.
Right, we'll talk about exploration, flight, and the Centennial. But I just invite everybody that we have our Star Wars event, which is coming up here on May 5th. Let me just make sure I've got the right dates here. And then we have summer classes for kids camp that'll be signing up right now. Families can sign up for that. And the ages on that one are, let me just review that again, 8 years old to 12 years old. Okay, and it's a week-long camp, Monday through Friday, that will have multiple segments all the way through the summer. You can sign up for it. That'll be amazing. And then there's other things. We have a drone circuit race that is going to be in the May time frame that I think will be May 19th. And that'll be a lot of fun to be able to watch, if not even participate in. So we encourage anybody to sign up for that. So there's so many things going on that I've just touched on the very basic elements of it, but I encourage people to go to our website. We are the official Air and Space Museum for the state of Colorado, and we're very proud of that. And we invite everybody to come on out, especially as we have our traveling exhibits that'll close out. We have one, Be the Astronaut, which will close out by April 15th. That's coming out. And right after that, we're going to have Robonology, which is kind of robotics. And I think a lot of the students and families will have a lot of fun with it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that information, John. We're going to take a quick break here on Connect and Collaborate. So you've got a few minutes here on this break. Go ahead and check out wingsmuseum.org, and you can sign up for any one of these great activities that they have going on. This is, again, Wings Over the Rockies. They are the official Air and Space Museum for Colorado. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating and inspiring all people about aviation and space endeavors of the past, present, and future. And by utilizing the Air and Space Museum in Denver's historic Lowry neighborhood to preserve the past, and the Exploration of Flight Center at Centennial Airport to focus on the present and future, Wings strives to encourage the future aerospace leaders of tomorrow. Again, for more information, visit wingsmuseum.org. And in the next segment, we are going to talk about the exploration of flight. Stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. We'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and right now we have the honor of talking with Major General John Barry. Again, he is the president and CEO of Wings Over the Rockies, which is the official Air and Space Museum of Colorado, and that's very exciting. They are down in the Lowry neighborhood, and which is where the Lowry Air Force Base was years ago, and they have built that museum to commemorate that. But they're also working on focusing on the future, right? You've done a wonderful job remembering the past and making sure that everything is, commemorated properly. But we've got a lot in the future riding on aviation and aerospace. Isn't that right, John?
Exactly, Alex. To your point, we will always keep Lowry as the history and the legacy and the celebration for the past for aviation. But we are one organization in two locations here starting this year. We're building a new facility out at Centennial Airport. Now, one of the things that unfortunately have been an outcome of 9/11 is that there's a lot more restrictions about getting on airfields. And I remember a lot of people probably can remember going out to airfields and being able to watch airplanes take off and land, even out at big airports like BIA. Unfortunately, that's kind of gone away. So we want to introduce the aspect of bringing that back. Sometimes I used to say that if we just put some bleachers out there, got a food truck, and charged people $5, people would love to just come out there and watch airplanes take off and land.
I would be a part of that.
But we're going to do a lot better than that. But we're going to do a lot better than that. We're building this 15 acres, and we don't call it a museum, even though it's part of Wings Over the Rockies, one organization. Air and Space Museum will be at Lowry, but the exploration of flight will be at Centennial Airport. Now, Centennial has been around for quite a while, and they have two north-south runways, and there's an east-west runway, and we're just going to be south of the east-west runway. You don't have to go through security. You can come just like any other facility, like a museum, and come see us. Now, on that 15 acres, we are building a blue sky gallery right now that'll be finished this summer, open to the public, and that is a focus on present and future of aviation. Now, we're going to have some celebrations of older airplanes from time to time, but this is meant to be the present and future of aviation. We're also in the process of continuing to fundraise for the Black Sky Gallery, which is really the present and future of space. Blue Sky Gallery, Black Sky Gallery. And I hope to have all of that done here in the next few years, but the Blue Sky will be finished this summer. Now, in addition to that, we are building a pretty unique campus, because these two buildings, the Blue Sky will be 19,000 square feet, the Black Sky will be 12,000 square feet. We have many acres left over after that. The bottom line is that we have tremendous support from great donors. Let me just tell you a couple of them. One is the Blue Sky Gallery will have the name of Boeing Jefferson, because they have been the one that has given us the largest donation of $2.2 million for that project. The Black Sky Gallery will have the name on it for Sierra Nevada, which is a big aerospace company that is working not only airplanes but also space, like the Dream Chaser. People are familiar with, looks like a small shuttle. And they have earned the right because they've given us $1.5 million, just to give you an example of some of the amazing donors that we've had that have allowed us to be able to participate and build these facilities. But we have also something else. On the 15 acres, we are planning right now to get the approval for a charter school. That'll be a middle school where students will be focused on project-based learning for aerospace. And one of the things I learned as a superintendent is that we are all under the same, what we call Carnegie units, that have been really a 20th century model. The young people today, in the 21st century, they're on their computers, they're on their cell phones, they're on their watches or whatever, and they want to know answers now. So we want to encourage people to get into specific areas of interest as early as elementary, very basic, focused in middle school, but clearly targeted in high school. Now, we will have our 15 acres focused on aerospace. And the middle school that we're going to build is going to be independent from us as the Air and Space Museum, but we're providing the property and for them to be able to focus on project-based learning with a particular pathway focus on aerospace. So we're going to be teaching them history. How about the Wright brothers? We're going to teach them civics. How about the FAA? We're going to be teaching them about, geography. Well, you can't be a pilot if you don't understand how to navigate and get around. So, of course, the science and the math will all be emphasized, and we'll be introducing them to getting their, you can get your pilot's license for gliders. You can solo at 14 and get a license at 16. And powered aircraft, you can solo at 16 and get your license at 17. You can have all that done before you get your driver's license in some cases. So we want to encourage young people to realize that this is in the art of the possible. A lot of our students don't know what they don't know, and by introducing them to all these aspects, this can be amazing. So the middle school, and then we're partnering with high schools to be able to participate in aerospace, where they can get their pilot's license, they can get their aircraft maintenance license, A&P license we call it, maybe some certificates for air traffic control, and focus on engineering. Again, it's a STEM focus where people come to us because they choose. When you choose something, a student owns that decision. And when they own that decision, they're more motivated. And when they're more motivated, they're more successful. So for those students that choose to be in aerospace, they can do health, they can do business, they can do arts and communication, as just some other examples. But on our campus, that we focus on science, technology, engineering, some art, and math. We call it STEAM. It used to be called STEM. Now it's called STEAM. Mm-hmm. So also, we're in negotiations right now with the higher ed to put a college extension on our 15 acres. We are in negotiations to have a school that can do A&P aircraft maintenance training to get your license before you graduate from high school or shortly after, also to be put on our campus. And we're also hoping that we can have an extension of other organizations, maybe of some Air and Space, National Aviation Hall of Fame, some other organizations that might want to participate. So if you come into our Blue Sky as an example, you will see exhibits. You will see real airplanes that are flying. You'll have an opportunity to fly. You'll have an opportunity to pre-flight an aircraft. You'll have an opportunity to take a tour of the airfield so you understand the lights and the signs and the windsocks and runways are aligned to the compass, as opposed to some young child that came up to me one day and said, "Oh, that's runway 04. Where's the other three?" Well, that's not quite the way it is. Runway 04 is 040 degrees aligned to the compass, you know. So there is just an exciting plethora of opportunities that we're going to put on this 15 acres. And I'm going to tell you the reason why we're building that. Are you ready for that, Alex?
I'm ready.
We have a major problem in this country, and it's not just a problem for the United States, it's an international problem. And that is there is an incredible shortage of personnel in the aerospace industry. We have an amazing shortage of pilots. I mean, it's in the thousands. Some people quote 66,000 pilots going to be needed in the next 10 years. That's over 6,000 a year. And guess what? We only made about a little over 300 airline pilots last year. A lot of people who are my age are retiring because they have to. They're age limited. That also goes for air traffic control. That goes for aircraft maintenance. That goes for engineers. So the young people today in elementary, middle, and high school are going to be afforded an amazing opportunity to get into aerospace because there is going to be a great need. The supply is short. The supply and the need are something that we have to focus on. So we are not going to solve the problem for the entire country in our little 15 acres, but we are promoting it as a place that can be replicated anywhere in the country, in any city, in Colorado or any other state, and also internationally. So the partnerships are public and private. They are partnerships with the museum and the airfield and education, both K-12 and higher ed. There is a partnership with all of that with the 200 companies that are on Centennial. 10,000 employees, 200 companies. And guess how those companies are going to participate? They are hurting for employees. They have a self-interest. So we're going to provide internships, externships, job shadowing, mentoring, Saturday programs, summer programs, and even jobs if the students are old enough to participate in the whole dynamic of what's going on at Centennial. It's a grand vision, and it is one that I think is going to make a significant contribution not only to the Denver metro area, but to Colorado in general. So I'm ready to talk to you about how this is going to be called Aerospace Alley. You ready for that?
I am ready for that.
Right. Well, as amazing as I just described this campus with a blue sky and a black sky and K-12 schools, higher ed, A&P, Navy Association with Hall of Fame, we made a presentation to a very astute leader in our community who challenged us to think bigger. And I go, oh, my goodness, I thought that was pretty big. And he had an excellent idea. And the idea was, why can't we in Colorado, are you ready?
Yes.
Become the Silicon Valley of aerospace? I'm sure we all know about Silicon Valley in California and, you know, software and computers and technology element. But why can't we, in the state of Colorado, become the Silicon Valley of aerospace? Well, guess what? We've played on that term a little bit, Silicon Valley, and come up with our own. And we call it Aerospace Alley. And why not?
Love that.
Because, you know, it's interesting that most people don't know that we have this amazing jewel of a enterprise of aerospace in our state. Sure, we know about the amazing outdoor activities we have, with the skiing and hiking and fishing and hunting, and our ability to have some tremendous things in the Denver metro area and the Colorado Springs, Pueblo, all the way up to Greeley and north. I mean, this is an amazing state on so many levels. But very few people understand the amazing contributions that aerospace is providing this state. Most of your audience will not know this. We are the second highest employed aerospace state in the nation by total numbers and per capita. That gives you a sense of the enormity of it. It is one of those things where on the kind of the metro area, we're number one. We have the most pilots that come through here in the nation so far as flying is concerned. We have tremendous weather, 300 days of sunshine, not counting this morning. But, you know, it's one of those things where people, we're a mile closer to space. You know, that can save us a lot of money.
Absolutely.
And that's true. It's tough to get off this planet, even being a mile closer. We have a project right now that's going on at Front Range Airport, where we're trying to, and have been successful to some extent, to make a spaceport. The governor signed off on it, and the state has approved it. But now we're waiting for the FAA to go. But those are some of the things that are going on in this state insofar as aerospace is concerned. So why can't we become the Silicon Valley for aerospace with our term called Aerospace Alley? I think it's an exciting prospect, and I think we have a great possibility of making that a reality.
I think so too. I am absolutely in love with this, and Aerospace Alley makes it all the better, right? Why can't we be the Silicon Valley? We are number one in space exploration, not per capita. We're number two per capita, but we are still the number one state, are we not?
Well, we're number one in the Denver metro kind of complex areas.
Okay.
But we still have a lot to grow when you particularly understand the size of this state. And the aerospace companies that are already here. I mean, you got Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, you got ULA, you got Lockheed Martin, we've got Ball Aerospace, we've got Sierra Nevada, just to name a few on what we have available, never mind the smaller companies that do just a tremendous job in affording a great advancement. There's so much innovation being done right now. Do you know that at Centennial Airport, just to name a few, we are building one of the first electric airplanes. Everybody's talking about electric cars, but we're building an electric airplane. Do you know that we have the first supersonic transport that is being built for the United States? We all remember the STS, the Concorde aircraft that was in the late 70s, early 80s. Mm-hmm. Well, we're building another one, and right here at Centennial Airport. We're building an XTI, a vertical takeoff vehicle, and maybe the next Uber, who knows, or Lyft, or whatever company wants to pick up on it. There are other amazing industries and innovations going on right here at Centennial Airport that very few people understand. 10,000 people, 200 companies, an amazing bed of innovation and initiatives that I think we can all can celebrate, and it's only going to get better.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think we are looking at something, and you've touched on this quite a bit, but the pilot shortage is a big deal right now. We've got a lot of companies. I don't know if you know, but Great Lakes recently just closed their doors at a lot of bases, including Denver, actually. They're having a hard time. And Great Lakes is a smaller carrier. They fly prop planes, and they are contracted out occasionally for other commercial airlines. But they were having trouble in this, and this pilot shortage is going to affect a lot of areas, right? I mean, we're looking at anybody in the transportation industry. We're looking at supply chain. So this pilot shortage and the fact that you guys have such a fantastic plan to get kids excited about being in aviation, and to also the charter school. That's amazing. And this Aerospace Alley being the Silicon Valley for aerospace is amazing.
Yeah, when we think about, some of the things that, our audience needs to know, that if you fly in Young Eagles, first of all, it's free. You get an airplane ride, young student by themselves, actually get to fly the airplane a little bit. They get a little logbook when they finish flying. And that logbook gives them a free, get this, a free $250 online course for ground school to learn how to be a pilot, all free. And then, on top of that, if they take their exam, there's a company called Sporties that sponsors this free course, and you take the FAA exam, they will reimburse you for that price of taking that test. And if you do all that, they will pay for your first flight, your first lesson as a pilot to get up in the air. These are opportunities. We have the Civil Air Patrol. We have Explorers, which is kind of like Boy Scouts for aerospace. We have Shades of Blue, which is a organization run by United Airline pilots and the volunteers to provide students activities during the summer and other opportunities to get in the air. There are scholarships. And one of the things I would like your audience to take on is this challenge. I go to kids sometimes, I say, if I could give you $40,000 for 40 hours of work, would you do that? And they go, oh, yes, of course. I mean, I'd be glad to do that. I mean, where do I get that job? I said, well, if you apply for scholarships, I don't care if it's a $100 scholarship, a $500, $5,000, or $50,000 scholarship, and you start pumping those out 1 hour at a time for 40 hours, and you go on the website and you look at everybody. There is a scholarship for, people who are left-handed, who are 6'4". I'm telling you, that it's an amazing thing. I can't tell you how many people have told me when I was superintendent, I've got a $10,000 scholarship. I want to give 10 $1,000 scholarships, and I only had 6 people apply. And the problem is people always think they got to get those big scholarships. Well, there was a young man who wrote a book, how to go through college almost for free. And he applied for these $50 scholarships, $500 scholarships. And they're all the same. Once you start, pumping them out, they almost always ask about the same thing. They want an essay. What's your future? What have you accomplished? What are your grades? What are you excited about? And once you develop those, then you can just kind of like a machine start pumping these out. And guess what? You get $40,000 in 40 hours of work. That's my challenge. And I've seen it done. And that's how kids can learn how to fly. They can apply for scholarships, and there's all sorts with the AOPA is an organization, AOP.org. If you apply to different kinds of organizations like EAA.org, you'll find other scholarship opportunities. And once you start finding those, you can pump out these applications, and that's how you can get the answer to the question, what do I do next? That's what you can do next.
John, this is some great information that you're giving us today. I do have a question for you about the school that you're hoping to get taken off here. Do you have any dates on when you might be able to break ground for that?
Well, we're hoping that the approval for the charter school will be this summer. And if everything kind of fell in, it might be as early as 2019. It could be as late as 2020, but we're hoping to get it done in 2019. But the participations with high schools in the area will be something that we can do on a routine basis. So that part. And then the higher ed with university and A&P licenses and even flying schools, we're still in negotiating stages, but That's the challenge to the community. Those organizations who want to be part and parcel of that, we are accepting donations to be able to make these things a reality. And we certainly would like to talk to any and everybody about those tremendous choices. Remember, this could be something that is, well, we already know it's going to be unique to the nation. But then it can be, once it's demonstrated, which we are very confident will be, in helping answer the shortage of the personnel in aerospace and so forth, the opportunities for young people, this can be replicated in any state, any city in the country. And once we have that model proven, you can't do anything alone anymore. I mean, clearly, whether it be schools or businesses or applications or hiring or anything, we have to have those connections. And we want to be the positioned organization with one organization, two locations that can participate in helping to solve the problem. And I mentioned earlier, this is not just the United States, this is international. And if we don't do this right, we'll have companies that will be coming in from different nations and offering our young people opportunities they've never even imagined before. And if the salaries are really high, depending on what country, like Saudi Arabia or anybody else who's going to have some shortages, they might just steal our people away. So we've got to have a plethora of opportunities for our young people, not only to have exciting opportunities both nationally and internationally, but also the aspect of being able to solve a problem here that we're going to have in this country. And we have to be aware of it, and we have to prepare for it, plan for it, and execute. And we think that our plan that we have at Exploration of Flight at Centennial Airport will serve to help define that and maybe even solve quite a bit of it in the future.
Thank you so much, Mr. John Berry. That is Major General John Berry. It has been a pleasure talking with you today. And, you know, I encourage all of our listeners to please check out wingsmuseum.org. There's tons of stuff going on this summer for your little ones and, you know, perhaps a drone course if you're interested as an adult. And also explorationofflight.org, and you can check out these 15 acres that are going to be around the Centennial Airport provided by the museum to get this blue sky gallery and this black sky gallery and potentially a charter school eventually that can be a model for the rest of the country and perhaps internationally as well, as you mentioned. Any last thoughts in this minute that we've got left here?
I just want to have everybody, looking for our promotions and our excitement on announcing the opening of the Blue Sky Gallery this summer. You'll be able to go through all sorts of exhibits and simulators and, learn how airplanes fly and the physiology and the latest technology. You'll be able to see not only the experience of flight, but also the sequence of flight, everything from the planning and the mission planning to the execution. You'll be able to pre-flight airplanes. You'll be able to fly in airplanes. You'll be able to tour the airfield. It really will be an exciting time. And we invite everybody to be able to come out there and experience that. Be opening we're looking for July, but certainly this summer. So look for that announcement, and we'll be more than interested in welcoming everybody to our new facility.
Thank you so much, John. Have a wonderful day. Be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube page. Check us out at cobrt.com/radio-podcast for this show and more. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day. Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate.